The recent media attention on the tragic cases of Thomas Kelly and Daniel Christie has forced New South Wales to finally introspect and think about violence that we see directed towards young men and women. This is welcome, but unfortunately the response of the politicians in this state has been completely wrong. After many months of resisting pressure, Barry O'Farrell has caved and will bring in a number of laws on the 3rd of February, which will lock down premises and introduce mandatory sentencing. Both of these are scary propositions because of the effect that they will have on our freedoms and our legal system. These laws will likely be ineffective, have unfairly advantaged some companies, will put the wrong people away, and will fill up our jails with first-time offenders. At the federal election last year, the Future Party ran on a platform of evidence-based decision-making because we want legislation that works and doesn't make the problem worse. People regularly point to the Newcastle lockouts as a success story, but places like Melbourne have repealed their laws because they don't work. A study published in the Drug and Alcohol Review states there is no discernible long-term impact on alcohol-related emergency department attendances of the lockout intervention in Ballarat. A 2008 report by KPMG into the lockout scheme in Melbourne found that reports of violence between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. actually increased following the introduction of a 2 a.m. lockout. That is, the number of assaults went up in the hours prior to the lockouts. The Labor government at the time decided to dump the scheme. The proposed lockouts will stop people entering premises at 1:30 a.m. and all alcohol will stop being served by 3 a.m. Most of the assaults happened prior to these proposed closing times. In fact, Daniel Christie was killed in an attack at 9 p.m. and Thomas Kelly at 10 p.m. We are completely unconvinced that lockouts would have prevented either of these attacks from occurring. The ending of alcohol service at 3 a.m. serves effectively as a kick-out, with all patrons likely to exit the bar at that time. This will result in large numbers of people on the street with nowhere to go, as there is practically no public transport at that time, and taxis are already hard to get at that time due to switchover rules. At this time, assaults are likely to increase. The evidence supporting lockouts is at best mixed. There are also serious concerns about the unfair application of these laws. These rules conveniently cover all of the CBD, except of course Cockle Bay, where Star Casino is located, and Barangaroo, where James Packer's new casino will be. These rules unfairly advantage these locations and should be applied uniformly if they are to be applied at all. The people who these laws are meant to protect are the people who are out on the town. These people typically aren't looking for violence, but they are looking for a good night out. I've heard a lot of parents, doctors, and old politicians on the news talk about this. But no one has asked those people on the street and in the clubs what they think. These are the people who are most likely to be victims in such crimes and the ones who are going to be most affected by these laws. Now I'd like to talk to you about the criminal justice system. I disagree with using alcohol as a mitigating factor in cases of assault because it transfers responsibility from those who commit the crime to the alcohol or drug that they are using. This change is not so bad. Unfortunately, the government has decided that identical crimes will have greatly different outcomes based on alcohol consumption. If someone knocks me to the ground and kicks me in the guts, is it any worse that they were drinking than that if they were sober, if I get the same injuries? Laws like these do not make sense. We have shifted from one extreme to the other, which in my opinion is not an improvement. I'm now more scared to go out at night than ever before. Before I had a 1 in a million chance of dying when drinking out on the town from being punched. Now, if some buffhead starts a fight with me, which is much more likely, and the police arrive while I'm defending myself, I'm in big trouble. Mandatory sentencing means I go to jail for 4 years minimum for a fray, unless I can prove that I was defending myself, which will be very hard to do with intoxicated witnesses. The judge will have no choice but to put me in jail for 4 years, even if I have a clean record, because there will be no judicial discretion. I'm also really worried about the impact that mandatory sentencing will have on the prison population. Mandatory sentencing will result in many more people going to jail for long periods. Apart from being incredibly costly and a waste of human life, the imprisonment of more young men might have a negative impact on the recidivism rate, leading to increased violence in the future. People who are in prison will spend years socialising with other criminals, adjusting to a culture of increased violence inside jail and losing social and professional contact with normal society. A good response is a preventative response. A good response would be public awareness campaigns about the dangers of fighting. A good response would be doing research into the backgrounds and motivations of those behind these attacks. A good response would be to do what the government has been doing and ensure that premises obey their responsible service of alcohol requirements. A good response would be to address public transport home late at night. The scariest thing about this is that Barry O'Farrell from the Liberals and John Robertson from the Labor Party will pat themselves on the back and say how they fix this problem without having done a thing. The Labor Party and the Liberal Party are united in delivering knee-jerk, draconian, unfair and ineffective policy. We need opposition to these bad laws, and it needs to come from someone other than the alcohol lobby. This is not going to be the most important issue of the next state election, but this change is representative of the options that we currently have in our current politicians. This legislation will be damaging to our freedom and damaging to our legal system, so please share this with all your friends online.